Well, we're looking at part 2 now of this concept of peace. We pointed out it's not possible for the human mind to create peace. It's just not possible, loves. And we need to accept that kind of a thing, that we set up civilizations based on our human state, which is an animal state and a survival-oriented, and that never can produce a peace-loving civilization. It cannot do it. A peace-loving civilization in which all see themselves as one with each other, and that oneness has as its essence that we are eternal beings, and that does not exist in the world. Not possible. So we're stuck with that. Does that mean we are stuck, period? And thank heavens the answer is no. It does not mean that at all. There is an answer. There is an option. And the option is that we are a different being than what we believe we are in this world. You know, I have fun with people when I will say to them, we have a divine mind and a human mind. And then I give them this statement. You're not who you think you are. You are who you think you're not. Well, you're not who you think you are. Is that the divine or the human? It's the human. You are who you think you're not. That's the divine. And this is where the answer lies, to be able to realize we are the divine. And is this an answer available to us? Yes, it is. But it's only at the pit of the depressive state of the human mind, which is so busy struggling and fighting to deny it and get on top of the heap, because they don't know of this divine state. And it's their only single outlook is to believe himself as human. It's until everything breaks down for the person and they're faced with the fact that there is either no answer or there is an answer. And the answer is that we must recover our divinity. Thank heavens it's possible. God makes it possible. Why? Because when God created us, He created us as this divine being, this God. Did God know that all His children were going to go haywire? Of course, God knew everything. Did He know the reason for it? That we would be jealous that only a God is the one creator and we're not? Of course He knew this. Did He know that we were going to have to experiment and try to become gods ourselves and push God aside? Of course He did. Of course she did. But it had to be gone through because it's the one thing that we don't have, that we're not the original creator, and we have to make peace with that and discover a God who made such a magnificent creation that all peace and bliss is within it, even though we didn't create it, God created it, and we just needed to accept it. That's the answer, to be able to accept the possibility that there is another alternative life. But it is not faced until everything else has collapsed. It does not take place until we recognize we have no more answers, and that this desperate feeling of aloneness, of feeling unloved, of feeling that we must suffer only this and only this, sees an option. Fortunately, God knew this and has set up healing based on the fact that God waits for us to be able to get to this state. He can't move on us. She cannot move on us until we have reached the state where we would permit an option to be shown to us, and that only occurs when we hit bottom, when our own efforts to survive are not making it, that we are failing within the world that exists and cannot change the world. And when it turns against us and we're in trouble with survival ourselves, and we're in trouble with believing in the worth of what we're existing in our human mind, then God moves. God waits for us to give God the opportunity to do that, because otherwise he'd be a tyrant. God created us with free will. You go ahead and think what you want. Have fun with whatever you're doing. Find out if you can make a better creation than what I have made for you. One of peace and love and joy, oneness with each other and oneness with me. Go ahead. If you wish to do that, I give you permission, because God knows we can't do it. The ultimate definition of love is what God has created within the divine mind in us, which comes from the divine mind of God. That's what we would have to be able to create something better than. It can't be done. And the other reason that God doesn't have to make a move is because what we're doing doesn't change anything. What we're doing is simply an imagined state of being that we have chosen to believe is real, and it cannot touch what God created. Why? God is the ultimate power, and he made us with the ultimate identity. And although God gives us the fullest permission to go ahead and fantasize, create, hallucinate, be deluded, whatever it is we're going to do, whatever it is that we're going to do, it doesn't touch God's original creation of us. That's more powerful. We can't displace it. All we can do is fantasize something different, and our soul simply sits and waits for us to be able to return to it. So there is an answer. And the minute we have gotten to the point in which we recognize we are in deep trouble, and there is no answer, and we're frightened, panicked, uneasy, that's the point at which God now can step in. You didn't have to do anything. You only had to stop. You only had to realize it can't go on. And at that point, you have given God permission to act, because you're not opposing God. That's all you have to do, is not oppose God. You don't have to do anything else. Just oppose. And even stopping your belief that this human existence is meaningful, that it's of worth. The only worth of this human existence is to discover that it's not of worth, and that within the not of worth, the worth-like thing, is to be able to go ahead and experience what is worth, which God will now provide you, and will work through you to provide it to others as the representative of God. That's the only worthwhile thing about this world. It provides you with the opportunity to see it is not of value in comparison with what God created. And so if peace exists in any way, it's because peace exists within you. Well, we're going to move on to part 3 of this discussion about peace.